It's over!
He's done it again! Unbelievable!
Oh, straight into the roof of the net.
Nice one.
Straight down the middle. So a good performance from both teams here today.
Hi, you're watching Sports This Week. I'll take you through the top stories in the world of sports from the week that was. Of course, we'll start with Formula One. The season drew to a close with the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix and a tight fight to the finish between Max Verstappen and Lando Norris. Max won the race, but Norris won the title. We look back at what these two drivers gave us during one roller coaster of a season. Over in Indian cricket, Sanju Samson seems to be in the news. First, it was, of course, that mega IPL trade-off to Chennai Super Kings. Now it is about his place in the Indian national side. What's the perception around his exclusion, and has he been treated fair? If a public appearance could leave you awestruck and in utter admiration, India's cricket vice-captain Smriti Mandhana did just that and more when she headlined an event with her skipper Harmanpreet Kaur, teaching us a valuable life lesson. Over in football, the biggest news has belonged to the huge row between EPL side Liverpool and Mohamed Salah. Egypt has expressed their concern and anger over their king being sidelined. What really happened and how did it all go south? And India's Praggnanandhaa is the only one to have entered the candidates from the country, ending the year, of course, for India on a high note. Can we expect an all-Indian battle with Gukesh awaiting the winner of the candidates? All of that heading your way. The most enthralling and entertaining Formula One season came to a close in Abu Dhabi yesterday. Max Verstappen did his best, put his foot on the pedal to complete the race first, but unfortunately missed out on the championship. No one could really stop Lando Norris from rounding off the podium in third place, encapsulating a brilliantly flawed yet pulsating, nerve-wracking F1 season. And in a manner that really narrated what life truly is. If Max promised us the stars, Norris gave us perspective, and that's what we will decode today here in this story. Lando Norris broke into tears as he slowed down right after crossing the checkered flag. The emotions flooding him, the team thrilled a double for McLaren for the first time ever since 1998, a driver's title for McLaren for the first time since 2008. It was poetic, it was cathartic, it was sweet. A moment that took its time to arrive. He says he now knows what Max Verstappen really would have felt like when he won that first, and what winning it all, going all the way after a year of highs and lows and manic times really truly feels like. It was overwhelming, and you could sense that with Norris. How did Max Verstappen, though, take this loss despite winning Abu Dhabi? two drivers who had given this their best shot. But there's so much to learn for us in our professions here from both these drivers, just looking at them. Take a look at Max, feisty, aggressive, an athlete who will always strive to get his way, for whom war of words, a squabble here or there, or a tiff somewhere else is all in a day's work. He was a one-man beast up against two very strong McLaren drivers who were snapping at his heels. And yet, he struck fear in them. Max had the most topsy-turvy year. Red Bull was fighting their own demons in the paddock, and Verstappen did not just have to deal with that alone, but also his own slump. Clawing your way back from being 100 points away from the eventual winner, which he missed out by just 2 points, by the way, is a journey that will tell us to keep fighting, that nothing is ever out of reach. You don't have to have the best of resources at hand. Red Bull was not the fastest car in the season. You don't need assistance on the track all the time. Max didn't have a steady, consistent assistance of a number 2 this season. Every pit stop or turn could seem daunting. Max had to surmount a massive gap to even make us believe he was in with a chance. But he kept fighting. There probably was not even a moment he thought this was truly over. He made us believe this could be it. It could happen. He made us dream, he made us hope, and that's the power of belief, the strength in it, something so magical that it will make you suspend logic and live in an idealistic realm even for that one moment. That's what Max Verstappen did. He truly made us think he could do this, even though you knew logically it was not only up to him. Norris too had to finish outside the podium, and with Verstappen winning, for this really to materialize, for a title win to happen. That's true champion stuff. And then to take it all in your stride, that's a mark of greatness there. Because he knew he was taking us all for that ride, but made us forget the permutations for the weekend. That's pure, sublime genius. And then there's Norris, the absolute opposite end of that spectrum, the athlete who embodies put your head down, get down to work. There's no need to get fired up. If it can be done without the heat, then might as well get it done. And that finish in Abu Dhabi and his title were proof of just this attitude. He didn't need to show Max that he was the champion. He just about did his best, whatever he really could, and that was enough. Norris's achievement is nothing short of stunning. Stopping Red Bull and Max Verstappen in their tracks is no mean feat, especially with Max gunning for a record 5th consecutive title. Norris just didn't overthink this, and he didn't have to. And that's a great thing to do, because history is rife with athletes who've got disappointed trying hard and trying to go that extra mile. Norris chose not to. No big show, no drama, just doing the bare minimum required without any hiccups. His former teammate, in fact, sums it up rather nicely.
He's a driver that doesn't follow the typical stereotypes of a world champion. Very open about his own struggles and proven to everyone you can be a world champion being a nice guy, or don't have to be ruthless or bad.
Sport does this, doesn't it? It pits the nice guys with the bad boys, fixes labels for champions. How somehow it's so much more emotional when a nice guy doesn't finish last. Here's the thing though, quite unpopular this, but I guess it is apt in the time that we're living in today. Your job as an F1 driver is only one thing: to win for your team, for yourself. That's why you became a driver. That's why you fought all the odds to get here to Formula One, the pinnacle of your sport. Whether you are a nice guy while doing that or not is a choice that you shouldn't have to justify to anyone, to yourself, to your team, or to the world. Max can be many things, but he knows how to win, no matter where his journey heads from here. And it doesn't take rocket science to guess it's only going to be that much more significant for the sport itself. Max Verstappen has already showed us what it takes to dream, and dream big. What it can do for anyone, F1 fan or not, Max fan or not. Nothing can quite compare to feeling alive, to truly believing that impossible is nothing, that you can actually control even the uncontrollables, that you can do anything at all. That will be Max Verstappen's biggest legacy to pass down. The player behind me, Sanju Samson, has been in the news recently. Just a while earlier, he was the center of the biggest trade the Indian Premier League has ever witnessed in its long stint. Sanju Samson moving from Rajasthan Royals to Chennai Super Kings, a long-standing captain of a franchise moving to another club. Now, while that displacement is something Sanju will embrace, there's more buzz now on his side or his place in the Indian national team. Where have things gone wrong for this flamboyant wicketkeeper batter? And does this require some attention? Now, unfortunately, the curious case of Sanju Samson is not new to Indian cricket. It's been simmering for a while. It's a story that has gone on for too long. And this here today seems to be the latest chapter. The thing is, whatever the real issue may truly be, perception is definitely this: Sanju Samson deserves to be treated better. He's a talent that India has failed to use smartly, and whatever happened and continues to happen to him is rather unfair and unfortunate. Fans think so. Many former cricketers and experts around Indian cricket feel so. Why, even political leaders with a keen, passionate eye on the sport believe so.
He's somebody who has been outstanding at various levels of the game. He holds a record, I think, in the Mushtaq Ali Trophy for a double century of 212, which, if I'm not mistaken, was the only double century when it was scored in 2019. I mean, he's just an amazing, amazing cricketer. And he's been somewhat unlucky that he's got so little to show for it in terms of appearances in India colours.
Sanju Samson never quite enjoyed a solid free run in any format at the Indian national team. And that's the harsh reality. An Indian side that has viewed talent and potential over form and numbers. The same Indian side that valued the brute impact someone like a Virender Sehwag could impart, even though consistency was not quite his friend, has been guilty of looking the other way when it has come to Sanju Samson. Look, there are no comparisons here, but the same Samson who scored 100 in T20 international on foreign soil, not once but twice, and 3 times overall in one single year, 2024, has now been displaced. But that very same Samson, months later, finds himself replaced, dropped. Now, yes, there were a string of below par scores earlier this year, but the question here is this: is he someone you want to invest in for the next cycle? If so, can we make this better so that he delivers consistently? What's gone wrong? An opener, a player who has always been a top 3 batter for any side he features in and will continue to do so in the IPL too, no matter where he plays from now, has been shunted up and down. All thanks to the management wanting Shubman Gill to be a part of every format and play at the top instead.
Sanju got a raw deal. But you know, those opportunities are often created by people being injured or being rested. I think Shubman Gill is almost being elevated to the likes of Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli. And when they came back into teams, they went back into their position. It wasn't a case of shifting them down.
What Sean Pollock saying in effect is this: Sanju Samson has been shortchanged with no clarity or role definition exactly, because someone else who is Indian cricket's future has taken precedence instead. And that even if that person, here of course he's referring to Shubman Gill, got injured or was off the team briefly, he would come back to claim that spot. The spot that he left, in this case the top order. Unfortunately, doesn't work for a player who's giving you 2 skills for 1. And that's more disheartening. And what's more disheartening, of course, is that Sanju Samson truly believed that he would be backed, that his talent would be backed.
Gautam Gambhir once came to me and asked what happened. I told him I cannot convert my starts. He told me, even if you score 21 ducks, I won't drop you.
That was Sanju Samson in an interaction with Indian cricketer R. Ashwin just a while back. Now, which brings me back to the biggest point that probably troubles the Indian setup. Communication. Clear and transparent communication that can at least let players know where they actually stand in the scheme of things when it comes to their place in the side. Playing sport is a grind, whether you are in the playing 11 or you're not. It takes a toll on you either ways. The least a management can do is try to maintain a transparent dressing room, a positive dressing room that will only give players a sense of security no matter what their position is. That's the only way they will perform, and they will continue to deliver and at least try to improve. Else all you're doing is creating a negative environment that will only feed into more negativity. And where does that leave a player, in this case Sanju Samson? confused, distraught and helpless. Not ideal for any cricket setup. The winter months are harsh, unforgiving, brutal and cold. While the festival spirit brings some warmth, the weather itself makes it a rather difficult time of the year. But here's the wonderful thing about seasons. They pass, and before you know it, you'll see the flowers bloom, the greens returning, the sun shining through. Smriti Mandhana was that ray of sunshine in an event she headlined last night as the captain and vice-captain of the Indian women's cricket team relived what has been a roller coaster of a ride, with the year 2025 drawing to a close and giving us all and many young aspiring cricketers out there the biggest life lesson. Now, it has been a tough year for Smriti Mandhana, the kind of year she wouldn't have dreamt of. But life has a way of throwing you a googly when you least expect it. The women managed to navigate all of it to clinch a historic title at the World Cup, and that win is the biggest turning point for Indian cricket. In commentator Ian Bishop's iconic words, a moment that will ignite a whole nation and its dreams. That's what this women's team achieved. The euphoria of it, although, was short-lived for Smriti Mandhana, who had more delicate matters to deal with on the personal front right after. And guess what she did 2 weeks post the wedding got called off? Back to the grind, back to what she loves the most. Cricket, batting and batting up a storm. Taking that World Cup win as inspiration into 2026.
I don't think I love anything in life more than cricket. So when you go out to bat or when you go out to represent your country, I don't think any other thoughts are there in the mind. When you put on the Indian jersey, the only thing you want to do is represent India and win the match for the country. And yeah, I mean, the biggest motivation is that when you put on the jersey and the India is written. I mean, I always tell everyone that once you put on the jersey, you just keep all your problems aside and just be on the field.
But behind that glowing smile and that self-confidence oozing through, it isn't just her own drive and passion fueling it, not just her own family, it's her cricket mates. Her family on the field, who stood by her right through it all. Jemima Rodriguez, in fact, decided to give the WBBL a skip to stay on with Smriti the weeks preceding this. And that's what I'll take away from that World Cup win. Not just these women banding together to do the impossible and cross a line they never had till that point, but the family they had grown on to become in the process of it all, that took them over the line at times of personal strife. Sport brought them together, yes, but that dressing room, that's what gave them sisterhood.
अगर ये पर्टिकुलरली वर्ल्ड कप कैंपेन की बात करूँ तो हम पिछले 2 महीने से एक साथ हैं और सब कुछ कर रहे हैं, तो बॉन्ड इतने स्पेशल बन गए हैं, जैसे जेमिमा, अरू, राधा, माई सेल्फ, रिचा एंड शेफाली, मतलब बहुत स्पेशल है। सबको पता है कि सबके लिए क्या इम्पोर्टेंट है, किस टाइम पे किसको क्या ज़रूरत है, तो हर कोई हर किसी के लिए अवेलेबल रहता था उस मोमेंट के लिए।
That's what Smriti Mandhana showed us. Grief, sorrow, where? She last helped India win a World Cup, and she's going to play a bilateral next before WPL, of course, comes calling, where she will lead RCB again. The same RCB that broke the jinx through her captaincy when they lifted the title in its 2nd edition. That's what Smriti Mandhana does, and does better than most the world over. Moving on and never looking back. Unwittingly, Smriti Mandhana today is the face of Indian women cricketers having turned a corner. They have gone from being cricketing sheroes to inspirational women, the kind you aspire to be, defining a generation of grit, courage and the will to go through the trickiest of times that can stall and derail the very best. Come out of it, slap on a smile and show the world this is why the grandest stage belongs to you. It is truly yours, not because you have earned it, but because you know how to own it. Liverpool and Mohamed Salah, two names that breathed the same air, lived the same dream and carried the same identity and destiny for 8 straight years, suddenly look like they're living two completely different lives. The fallout has been massive, the wounds are public, and the future, well, completely unpredictable. And the biggest question today is, if this relationship ends badly, who loses more, Salah or Liverpool? Because while England's football culture is backing the club, Saudi has rejected the Egyptian for now. A massive section of a global fan base, an entire region, is now silently turning its back on Liverpool. Tonight we bring you the full picture. It of course all began the moment Salah openly called out the Liverpool management for putting him on the bench. What followed wasn't just tension, it was an explosion. Salah was dropped for the Champions League clash against Inter Milan. Liverpool won that match 1-0, a rare positive in a season full of cracks. But even that victory couldn't really distract fans from the headline dominating every corner of world football, the Salah-Liverpool fallout. And remember, when a football great is involved, the earthquake isn't local, it's global. Even Saudi Arabia, a league that has chased Salah for years now, seems to be taking a stance here.
First, I'm not entirely sure if they all want him. There's a narrative around him that they asked him to come before and he rejected us. He doesn't strike me as a great team player. Speaking out about your ownership after signing a contract like that.
Look, Mohamed Salah is a wonderful player. He has a huge fan base all over the world, but also a huge fan base in the Arab world. To be honest, I have no idea if he's able to come to Saudi, but it really depends on if he's the right fit for the club and for the league.
For a league that once offered a record-shattering contract to just bring him in a few months ago, these are not normal words. These are words from a league that wants to protect its pride after Salah rejected them earlier. And then there is Anfield, a place that once worshipped him, a fan base that sang his name louder than they sang the club anthem. Today, that mood is turning.
Salah's a hero to everyone and everything, but what he's done there, he should never ever do.
He's been disrespectful, saying that he doesn't have to train to start games.
Nobody's bigger than the club. He's right to be left out this team now. There's a new guard. We need to work a new team into this, and he knows that. He has to work harder. Simple.
The frustration is real. The love has fault lines, and with every interview, every quote, every hint of a friction, the legend's legacy is being questioned.
Mo Salah was known as the guy who failed at Chelsea. That's just a fact. He'd never won a major trophy before he came to Liverpool. He's also the greatest player his country has ever had. Egypt in the African Cup of Nations are the most successful nation. But Mo Salah has never won the AFCON.
This is how quickly emotions shift when a hero becomes the centre of a controversy. But while England debates loyalty versus betrayal, something far bigger is happening elsewhere. Egypt, a country that didn't just support Salah, it adopted Liverpool because of him. A cafe in Cairo, once packed to the doors during Liverpool matches, now sits nearly empty. During Liverpool versus Inter Milan, only a handful showed up, and even they weren't watching, some scrolling on phones, others playing cards.
If
the percentage of people watching Liverpool matches in the village was 90%, it's now 3%.
As you can see, the cafe is empty. The public knows that Salah isn't playing today, so no one came to the cafe to watch Liverpool.
We were eagerly awaiting Salah's match with Liverpool. But today we are not even watching Liverpool because Salah isn't playing.
There used to be hardly room to stand in this cafe or the neighbouring ones. But now nobody wants to watch the Liverpool match, even while it's ongoing now.
The message is loud. Egypt isn't just angry, Egypt is hurt. And when emotions change in the country, the entire Arab world feels that. And that is where Liverpool's biggest loss really lies. Because Salah's impact isn't just footballing, it is cultural, emotional, generational. He became the face of Arab pride in Europe, the symbol of what football could mean beyond trophies. Lose Salah, and Liverpool loses an entire region of support. Let's talk numbers. When Cristiano Ronaldo moved to Saudi Arabia, he lifted an entire league. Revenue skyrocketed, social media exploded, broadcast interests doubled. Messi's move to MLS, it transformed American football. A league struggling for relevance suddenly had global attention. Superstars don't just join teams, they bring nations with them. And Salah is that superstar for the Arab world. Saudi may say he's not the right fit. Owners may hint they're moving on. But let's be honest here, if the right deal is on the table, no club rejects the chance to sign up one of the biggest Arab players of all time. Because football is not just played on the pitch, it's played in markets, in boardrooms, in broadcast numbers and in hearts. And that's why in this entire saga, Liverpool stands to lose far more than Salah. He will always have Egypt, the Middle East, the global fan base that sees him as inspirational. He will always have options, always have leagues chasing him. Salah will walk into any team in the world tomorrow and instantly shift the balance of attention. If not Saudi, Salah's hunger will take him elsewhere. And he will take his fan base along with him. But Liverpool, they risk losing exactly that. Something you can't really buy back. Global emotional connection. We're closing in on the end of 2025, and in the world of chess, the noise, the hype, the spotlight, it's all shifted towards one event, the 2026 World Chess Championship. Gukesh Domraju, the reigning world champion, is sitting on the throne waiting for a challenger, and the lone Indian who's officially made it to the candidates, Praggnanandhaa Rameshbabu. A massive sliver of hope in what has otherwise been a surprisingly quiet year for Indian chess. And it isn't just Praggnanandhaa. India's highest ranked player, Arjun Erigesi too, beat Magnus Carlsen at the freestyle chess Grand Slam finals as India turned the corner towards the end of the year. Our next report tells you more.
Indian chess has been on a meteoric rise for the last 5 years. Young talent erupting everywhere, world-class performances becoming routine. India wasn't just participating anymore, but 2025, it did not reflect the same domination that fans have now gotten used to. The year, of course, had its highlights, especially the storm created by the women at the FIDE Women's World Cup. But outside of that, the year felt unusually subdued, and that started with Gukesh. He was eliminated in the third round of the World Cup, finished last at Clutch Chess Champions Showdown, finished 41st at the FIDE Grand Swiss. He did beat Magnus Carlsen multiple times, but it wasn't the steamrolling dominance that he displayed in 2024. That inconsistency trickled into India's entire calendar year. Even the home World Cup, where expectations were sky high, ended early for the Indians. But here's the magic of Indian chess. They always find a way back. And right at the end of the year, things have clicked again. Because the candidates lineup for 2026 is out. And standing tall in that elite list, representing India, carrying the hopes of 1 billion, is Praggnanandhaa. He now enters the same battleground where Gukesh fought, survived, conquered and became world champion last year. India had 3 names in the candidates last year, Praggnanandhaa himself, Gukesh and Vidit Gujrati. This time, there is only one. This is more than just a qualification for Praggnanandhaa, because here's how he shaped 2025. The Indian ace won the Tata Steel Masters and followed it up with Superbet and US Chess Cup wins. He was the joint winner at the London Classical Open and finished second in multiple events. For him, this qualification is redemption, a strong comeback. And this, even as Arjun Erigesi defeated Magnus Carlsen in the 5th round of the freestyle chess event. A massive moment because Arjun had a mixed year. He will, however, finish this year as the highest ranked Indian player. While Erigesi's win comes as an icing on the cake, this moment truly belongs to Praggnanandhaa. He walks into the candidates with hunger, experience and zero fear, which is what makes it an exciting battle. Because 2026 could give us the biggest storyline of modern chess, an all-India World Championship final. And honestly, the kind of form Praggnanandhaa is in, it looks more possible than ever.
I was born into revolution. I inherited power like a crown. What I delivered was isolation. I built a personality cult that touched every home. Millions suffered hunger under my rule, but no one dared to speak. I ruled from palaces. My people queued for rice. I called myself the dear leader. History calls me something else, the dictator. Who am I?